Hi, everybody. How are you doing? Thank you for tuning in to Amy's Inspiration Station on the Altenew YouTube and Facebook channel. And we have Han behind the badge today. So huge shout out to Han. It is so nice to see you. I'm usually on Thursday, so I'm really excited to be here with you today. And if you share this live while we're live, you'll be entered to win a $15 gift card. And let us know in the chat where you're coming from. I already have so many friends. Thank you guys so much for showing up. We have Harmony and Saskia. Chaos and Happiness. That's a great one. And Nancy. Oh, Nancy, I'm glad you are here too. I hope that you did a little bit of coloring yesterday. And Shiomara and Sue. It is so nice. And Anne. Hi, Anne. And hi, Tracy. And hey, Cece. And hey, Sue. I'm so excited to see you guys. And I have a little bit of a treat today. So I'm using a paint a flower iris, and I know the paint a flower, they're not coming out with any new ones, but they're still my favorite line. I love them. So I wanted to take a moment to celebrate the paint a flower because I think they are just fabulous. My favorite thing is coloring. I love coloring in all mediums. And so we're going to do a little coloring today. And it's a Monday. And it's really nice just to kind of like, Mondays are always rough for everybody. So it's nice just to kind of like take that time for yourself and just do a little bit of coloring. So hi, Pat, and hi, Leith. Good morning. Good morning to you. Yes, right, Tracy. I love the paint of flowers. They are so fabulous. And thank you guys so much for sharing this. And if you share this while we're live, you'll be entered to win a $15 gift card. And we have Han behind the badge. So huge again, shout out to Han. So hi, 42 Rosie. It's so nice that you guys are all here today. I love the paint of flowers. I think that they are absolutely fabulous. All right. Oh, yes, right. Mondays are your favorite. Fresh start to the week. All right. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. I'm going to go ahead and point my camera down because I got a lot of coloring. I will say this. I feel like everybody approaches coloring a little bit differently. And I love to watch people color because it's an opportunity to, catch new tricks and new tips and things like that. So hopefully you will get that opportunity as well. I'm going to be using the Woodless Coloring Pencil. So if you feel, if you're at home and you might be near a little stamp, feel free to grab those pencils and go ahead and color along with me. And hopefully you can pick up a couple of tips. And if you have tips for certain tips for coloring, go ahead and share those in the chat, in the chat, because we're all about kind of the big, huge community here. Hey, Nancy. I know we got so many people here today. This is fabulous. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go on down. And I know Han's going to be putting in some links soon. And while we're doing that, go ahead and thank you so much, Linda, for liking and sharing. And hi, Melly. It's so nice that you are here. Oh, boy, I was just thinking about Italy today. I don't know why, but it was in my mind. All right. So this is the Paint a Flower Iris. Love this. And the reason why I really like this set is because you have this nice big like flower duo, but then you have this little single flower. And I wanted to use both of them, but for some reason I think I might switch up the designs that I have and make it a little bit different. So, oh no, Tracy, you have thunderstorms there. No. And Linda is coming in from Ohio, and thank you. And hey, Barb, it's so nice to see you here. And Sue, I'm glad that you're back. And the packaging on those pencils, that is all Aram. I will give her, she used every single pencil in the box to color these flowers. She's just, I mean, it's amazing and how well they kind of work together. So not my level, but I definitely aspire. I aspire to this there. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of play around with my coloring today. And I actually created 2 cards. And one of the cards I did on some actually very nice, I guess pencil coloring paper. And Altenew does not sell this, but I'm going to go ahead and share this out. So this is something that I like to use. It's been recommended to me, and it's a really, really nice paper. And you can stamp on it. It does have some tooth to it, and that tooth is that, like, you know, the way that the paper kind of grips onto things. And if you feel the paper, it's not super smooth. It has the little bit of that tooth to it. And so this is the paper that I'm going to start on, and it's called Canson Metiens, and this is the pastel, and this is the white. And it's not super like in your face white. It's got a little tint to it. Of course, my camera hates white, but it's got a little bit. So this is, I'm going to do this. Now, you don't need this. All right. You don't need this. And I'm going to show you that you don't need it, because I'm also going to color on a piece of cardstock from the, oh, I'm going to get it. Oh, you guys had the drum roll and I missed it. Oh no, here we go. Where is it? All right, I'm just bringing the whole thing in. I was going to grab it. This is my little box of colors here. All right, so this is the shade, this is the new purple gradient cardstock. And so I'm actually coloring on the Wisteria, which is a 65 pound, and they did fabulous. These pencils did absolutely fabulous on it. So it's definitely, is an embossing? No, not for this one. So Pat, these are, this is a series called the Paint-A-Flower. Love this series, but these were a series that's all open florals. And so there's no embossing folder, there's no dye or anything at all to match this, and that's for the whole series. And Altenew stopped this series because they've been bringing out so many amazing products. So I wanted to do a little ode to the Paint-A-Flower. So I put that out there, Pat. So we're going to be doing it. And Sarah, I'm glad that you are doing some Zentangling. And Han is here. Hi, Han. We are so excited. And as she has put in, that if you share this live while we're live, you'll be entered to win a $15 gift card. All right, so I'm so excited. My stamp wheel came, and I ordered it along with everybody else, I think in January. I think it was. So I get to play with my stamp wheel on live. This is my very first time live here playing around with my stamp wheel. And I'm going to start by stamping on, this is the Metiens paper. Now, it is a little toothy. And I don't think it's going to show up, but I don't know if you can see the little divots in there. And it's, so I'm going to stamp on this. There's a side that's a little bit rougher than the other side, and I'm actually going to pick the side with a little bit of tooth to it. And this is where the stamp wheel was really great, that when I stamped this, it went right back in. It was really, really wonderful. All right, I'm going to put this right over in this corner, and there's rhyme to reason why I'm using thing. Oh, thanks, Tracy. I appreciate it. We got 2 here. We're going to do a little extra coloring. And this was a suggestion. I just want to let you know from some crafty friends out there. And if you have anything that you would like me to work on a live, feel free to do that. So one of the things with flowers in general, like when I'm coloring them, oh, thank you. That's the first one we're going to do, Cece, is the card with the gold washi. I'm going to start this one first because it's going to take me a little bit longer. Is a lot of times flowers, they don't have an ending, if that makes sense. Like they feel like they're floating in space. I don't know if that makes sense to you. So I wanted to give this flower a base to kind of to stick onto. And so I was thinking about the best way to do that. And that's where I came up with the idea of cutting it. And I know that's going to hurt. We've talked about this before, about how I'm a little brutal with cardstock. But what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of figuring out where I want my flower to be. I want to make sure that there's a nice little space for my sentiment down here on the bottom. And I just want to curve it and curl it up. So I do want it to reach over here, but I'm going to be cutting off about 1.5 inches over on the side. So, all right. Oh, Tracy, I love that. Irises and pansies. Yes, I know. I love them too. They come up here in the spring. They are fabulous. And then they go away. But I do have a lot of irises. My garden does really well with them. Now, the question I get a lot is, what ink do I use? And these coloring pencils, they're wax-based. So really, honestly, you could probably use any ink with them. I wouldn't trust the obsidian ink, but I think any dye-based ink is absolutely fine because this is water reactive and these are not water reactive. And so because we have the fact that they are based in a different medium, water and not water, they usually will be okay. And this is what I did. Now, notice I'm not stamping it in black. I'm actually stamping it in pure graphite, and this is from the Rock collection. I love using this instead of the black because black is just so severe on white. And even though it's gray, and this is pretty close, I feel like the gray is just, it's just a little bit less severe, I guess. You also, I'm going to be using some purple inks later. And in fact, I was going to grab the Andromeda, which is in the Enchanted Garden collection. I'm going to be using this later. That's a little preview. But I decided to go with the gray because of the fact that I have some green in here. So I'm going to use the gray. I am, Barb. I am Amy Hill Creates. I think on Facebook, I'm just Amy Hill. And then I have a Sevens Crafts on Facebook. So, but Barb, you can find me on the Altenew fan Facebook group. I am on there. Yeah, I know, Sue. It's so nice. I like the gray as well. Oh no, Tracy. That's not good. Bad weather imminent. Now, like I said, this is a paper that is a little dappled. And so this is going to take me a couple of times to stamp this. And because I want to get the 2 cards in, I'm going to do my best to show you guys some coloring, and then I may just switch over to my other card. So I'm just going to be watching my time very carefully. So, all right. So this is the great thing about the stamp wheel is my paper doesn't move. And so I can really be sure that this is going into exactly where I want it to. And I'm going to move myself over so I can give it just a little bit more of a press and really get that down. But I have been really enjoying my stamp wheel. I don't know if anybody else out there has their stamp wheel, but it's been really fabulous. All right, gorgeous, love it, fabulous. I'm going to keep this on here. I'm going to clean it, but I'm going to keep it on here. So I got my little Altenew stamp cleaner. And I have to say one thing that I noticed yesterday when I was playing around with this is a lot of times I use like sprays and stuff. And because I clicked this in to color, like to clean it, I'm not getting spray all over my desk and on my project. It's like a little bit of a thing. Right, Anne? It's been fabulous. Oh, yeah, Sarah. Gray and peach. That's fabulous. Oh, I'm going to try that. That's definitely an inspiration for me, I have to say. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start coloring this. I will add in this card I was thinking of as a graduation card because I have some absolutely fabulous seniors who I work with, and I feel like I like to give them cards that they can take. It's been something I've been doing. I don't teach a lot of seniors, but for the seniors I have that's just been really fabulous, and I have some this year that are just absolutely great. I really wanted to give them some cards, and the kids in the past at least have told me that it's been very nice to have that, and they have been really enjoying having those cards. And it's something that, because college and everything gets a little tricky, and so it's been nice having those cards. So I'm just using this little grid transparency. This is something that you can definitely print, and I'm using the sentiments from the stamp set, and this sentiment says follow your dreams. I'm going to push it up just a little bit, and then it says no one can limit your greatness. And I thought that was really nice for a graduation card. So I thought that was really, really super nice. Okay, here we go, stamp wheel. Oh, that's not going to work. It's getting too excited. All right, I'm going to do this later because I have to peel that off, but I have to keep it in the same spot. All right, so we'll do that one later. Taking a shifting. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. Now, when I color, I want a solid surface that can kind of press up against what I'm doing. And so I'm going to, yeah, the grid thingy is helpful. It really is. So, okay. All right. So now I'm going to grab my coloring pencils. The other thing, of course, I need, and I'm just going to put this over here for reference that that's where I'm heading to, is I need my glasses because I can't see. And Tracy, isn't that nice? I was starting to look at this when I was deciding what to pull to do this live today. And I'm like, gosh, that was really fabulous. I wanted to show you guys, and I had it out to make sure I showed you guys, is my swatch book. And I don't have it. Oh, here it is. I found it. I put it away. So, of course, anytime you get a coloring set, you want to make sure that you swatch everything. And so I want irises. Irises are purple. And in fact, this is a great opportunity. There's always in the packaging inspiration. And so I actually use that inspiration to help me to figure things out. And look how gorgeous this little card is. So I'm going to use this as inspiration. So you can see that there's blue, there's a little bit of purple, and then we have this nice yellow that's a little bit of a contrast. So I'm going to use that in the colors that I'm picking. So I have Midnight Violet, and then I have Cosmic Berry. And I'm thinking about colors that are going from dark to light, but there's also blue here. And my best blue that has a little bit of purple in it is Sapphire. So I'm going to grab that Sapphire out. And then I'm actually going to grab a little bit of Peach. Peach is a nice color to add in. And then I'm also going to grab my white, my poor little stunted white, because I use that a lot. And so that is going to be for my flowers. And then I'm going to grab some yellow. This is this is fresh lemon. And then I have maple yellow. And then I'm just going to grab just a touch of orange in an orange cream. And then I'm going to grab some greens. And I'll talk about these colors as I use them. So that way, if you're like, what are you doing? So that's all for my foliage. So those are all there. And be careful with these because I will tell you they do break. So just be mindful. Sometimes I'll keep a cup on my desk or I just keep them right over to the side and make sure that they don't go too nuts. All right, so like I said before, everybody approaches coloring in their own version and their own way. And so what I like to do first is I like to kind of map out where my shadows are. And so I'll end up actually taking my darkest color. And what I'm looking for is where are things overlapping. And so this is where this comes into play because it's going to help me to identify where's leaves, where's flowers, where's flower centers, and etc. And so I can see that this is a flower center. So I'm going to come right under that because I want to go ahead and make that dark. So I'm going to come right under there. Oh, thank you, Stacy, for being here. And thank you for sharing this. And if you share this while we're live, you'll be entered to win a $15 gift card. We have Han, who is behind the badge today. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you all for being here and watching me color the Paint a Flower Iris. So I thought for Monday, it would be nice to have a little bit of coloring time for that one. Right now, Sherry, I am using the Canson Mi Tien's Pastel. So it just has a little bit of tooth in it. But I also have a card I'm going to show you later that, that you don't need it. So this is probably just a little bit on the overkill side. And I forgot what I was getting. So I guess I didn't need it. All right. Also, you really want to make sure that your ink is dry before you start digging in, but that's okay too. All right, so I'm just coming in and just identifying where those little dark spots are, and I'm also identifying areas that I'm like, oh, you know what? I think I want to make this a leaf. Sometimes the artist, as they have created this, or in this term color, there's some sections in here that I personally think are leaves that I'm not going to be doing that. But that's all I'm doing is just coming around and I'm just identifying where those shadows are and where I want to make things dark. And what I tend to do is I'm going to go from dark to light. And what I like about colored pencils versus doing this with I was just thinking that's what I wanted to grab, because you guys probably would be helpful if you could see what the heck I'm doing. That's what I wanted to do, was to zoom in. So we're already starting here. Yes, thank you. Yes, Barb, that's where I start. And again, it's like a map. I'm kind of drawing a map for myself as to where all of those little dark corners are. So that's why I have this out here. And what I like about the colored pencils is it's not like watercolor where I have to like wait for something to be dry. I can just go ahead and just start going. And so you can see I'm going to switch colors, but I'm going to start with this sapphire. So this is that sapphire, which is that blue, it has blue and it has a little purple in it. So it's going to give me that ability to change those colors. And I like to mix things. Like, I know I'm making a purple flower, but it's not going to be all purple. It's going to have a little blue. It's going to have a little pink. It's going to have a little red in addition to the purple. So all of that is there. And by the way, the more that you end up coloring an image, I think the better you learn the image. And so you can really get a sense of where these are. This is like the second time I've done this, so it's feeling a little bit. Oh, Debbie, you have to get these out. These are fabulous. I love to color on the go, and so my woodless coloring pencils are in a box. I keep them in the box. I keep them with me. People think I'm nuts on the soccer field, but everybody kind of comes up. It's kind of a funny talk, to be perfectly honest. They're all like, "Oh, what are you coloring today?" And then I have to pause and cheer for my kid, and then they're like, it's kind of the talk of the town as to what the heck I'm doing and what's going on. All right, so I'm just kind of mapping this out. You notice I'm not going too far into the image. I'm just going to map those out. So I'm going to come in with my purple now, and I'm going to go ahead and get started with that part. This is also an opportunity that if you wanted this to be a little bit more blue, you don't have to do all the same colors everywhere. So feel free that you can make these flowers, because there's always variation in nature. So feel free that you can make these a little bit different as you go along. So you can see now with the purple, I'm kind of connecting all those lines that I made. And I'm kind of darkening those sections. Yes, right? Barb, it is a conversation starter. I can't even tell you. All the parents all come up to me and they're like, "Oh, what are we working on today?" So, and I don't mind. I don't mind that people come in. I have a lot of people like, "Oh, I love that." Sometimes I'll give them the piece if I finish at that time, or I'll actually give it to them later. And I'm like, "Yeah, you like this?" And so I will share this with you. So this is the Midnight Violet. This is the darkest purple that is in the set. And I'll keep on going over this using this color just to get a little bit more purple in it. And like I said, I'm keeping this on the side just as a reminder of what the heck I need to do. All right, and this is the edges. So I'm just coming up on these edges, and I'm trying not to make too thick of an edge. Sometimes I want it to be a little bit of thin. Sometimes I want it to be a little bit thicker. All right, there we go. And this is my other little side. So you can see that blue, where the purple is on top of the blue, it makes it a darker. And where the purple is by itself, it's a little bit lighter. So because I can layer these on top of each other, I can create different depths of color. All right, I'm just going to go really thin here because this petal is on top of this one. And this is going to be a little bit thicker because this is in the background. So, but I want it to be a little bit more purple. So I'm going to come on over here. Yeah, they are in middle school, so I still need to watch, but I'm there for a while because the games are longer. When they were little, the games were a little bit shorter, so it wasn't too much. Okay, and I don't tend to sharpen these, so what I can do is just kind of rub on the edges, and that's going to get me a pretty good point. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's my dark. So now I'm going to come in with Cosmic Berry. So the cool thing about Cosmic Berry, and I just want to show you the colors that I chose. Yeah, I love mixing colors when I use color. I just start adding things in and I'm like, oh, I like it. Oh, it's terrible. And I just go over it. So I picked Sapphire, Cosmic Berry, and Midnight Violet. And I also picked Peach Perfect, which is over here. And you can add in a little bit of rubellite. I might go back in and grab some of that. It just was a little too pink for what I was going for. But you can see the variation in these colors. They're similar, but they have a little bit of difference to them. So the Cosmic Berry is, it's a dark kind of, I don't know what this is, magenta? It's just a little bit brighter than that blue, than the Sapphire and the Midnight Violet. This is Midnight Violet, right? So let me know, are you guys, yeah, so I kind of tend to just push it on the side. And if you want like a super fine line, yes. But I kind of like it. And you'll see I tend to use the white. I'll even use my finger to get a nice blend between the colors. So you can see I'm just taking those edges and I'm just kind of widening them just a little bit. So I'm just coming in here. And I'm kind of making a decision that this is the center of the flower. And that's why you see I'm avoiding that little section. And I'm just coming in. So I'm just doing adding color, kind of extending the edges of these things. Coming in here with a little bit more. And this is where I've deviated. I decided that this is leaf and not petal, and they had that as petal. All right, and again, I'm just kind of trying to make decisions where are these sections going to be darker, where do petals kind of overlay, and how can I put these in? And I do sharpen my pencils, but you can save those shavings because there's no wood in here because they're woodless. And you can play around with those shavings and see what you can do with them. And feel free to ask me questions. And if I don't catch you right away, just ask the question again, because obviously I'm really focused on the mat right now. And I'm so glad that Han put the mat in. This mat, you're going to find as I move along to create these cards, is a huge time saver because of the grid that's in the middle. And I know I'm really, really zoomed in right now, but that's okay. Just to kind of get you to see. And I have to say, anytime that I color, there's always this period where it's a little bit on the ugly side. And I have to take kind of stock and be like, oh God, what am I doing? But eventually it gets there. Eventually it will get there. So this is the Peach Perfect. Now there's a lot of blue, there's a lot of purple. Thanks, Sherry. There's a lot of blue, there's a lot of purple going on. So I'm gonna be pretty sparing with this. And I'm just gonna come in and just add just a tiny bit in some areas. And this is just for just a little bit of differences. I'm not going crazy with this. All I'm doing is coming along the edge, and I just wanted to add in just a tad bit. That's all I want to do. All right, now my secret sauce is about to come into play. And this is my secret sauce. Areas that I want to stay white, that I want to not ever be dark. I'm going to come in with white right now, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start just adding some white in. And what this means is that when I layer color on top of this, that color will always be a little bit lighter. White also kind of acts as a blender for me. And so I'm just kind of like, where are my highlights? That's really what where I identified those dark parts before. I'm identifying right now, where do I want those highlights to be? And my lastish color is going to be the midnight violet. And so you can see how dark I put that midnight violet on, but I'm going to go ahead and I am going to be a little bit light-handed with it. These little sections where the petals kind of curve, I end up putting some white on there because I want those sections to be a little bit lighter. Okay, here we go. So now I'm going to come in with my midnight violet. And you can see I still have a lot of areas here. I tend to, I have a lot of color, like a lot of white space in here, and I want it to be purple, but I don't want it to be as dark as this. So I'm going to start to go really light, and I'm going to go ahead and put this color down. Now I want to curve these so it gives some movement and shape into the petal. And so you can see I'm not just doing it in a straight line. I'm kind of trying to follow the edges of the petals. And I'm going to fill them in, but I want to make sure that I just kind of pull these lines in. And I know it looks a little crazy, but right now. Yes, I have not tried a blending pencil. I'm not a big proponent of what's that stuff called? The solvent that you put with that in order to get this to go, the blending solution. I kind of tend to use the white, and it works, but my white, as you can tell, it goes, I go through whites very, very quickly. All right. And I do too, Sherry. I don't know. It's hard. I got to tell you, this is really, really super hard because of the fact that I don't want to talk when I do this. And so I have to remind myself that you guys are here and you're listening to me, and I have to say something. So normally when I color, I'm very, very focused on what the heck I'm doing. And I just want to point out, so when you see this with that peach, initially you're like, whoa, you put some peach in, but it looks really pretty with these other colors. And I feel like it just adds a little bit of something else with it. And I might even have put in more peach. I think I was a little reserved with that peach. So you can see here, I'm just kind of coming in and just trying to give that space. And it's funny because my coloring always looks a little bit different every single time. All right. Yeah, thanks, Debbie. I'll have to check that out, the blender pencil. I tend to use my white as my blender pencil, but I will have to check that out. All right, so I'm just laying a little bit more color down here. I don't think I extended my colors up. So this is where I start to come back and I start to be like, I needed to add just a little bit more into this. And so I'm just going to give it a little bit of shape. Gosh, I love the Cosmic Berry with this though. Whew. I think that is a game changer. Love that Cosmic Berry with it. This Cosmic Berry, it goes with reds, it goes with the purples, it goes with blues. It's just really, really fabulous. Love it. All right, so you notice I'm kind of turning my paper. I'm looking at it from different angles. Now that I have all of these pieces in play, so I'm just coming in. Where I feel like I need a little bit more darkness, I'm going to add that in. And I think this is the little petal. And I'm just going to come in. Now I'm going to grab my white. So you'll see it looks a little granulated. And I'm just going to take my white, and my white is going to kind of smooth all of those pieces out. And I can even come in with my finger. These aren't super waxy, but if I have pencils that are a little bit more waxy, because you have wax, you have oils on your hands, sometimes I'll even use my hands just to kind of smooth all the pieces out. And like I said, I'm constantly in my mind saying, is it dark enough? Is it light enough? Is it giving you that rich depth detail that you're looking for? Because I can go back with my darker colors and I can create more shadows and more depth and more of the drama that I want. And so that's kind of what I'm constantly looking for. Is, do I need to go back? What do I need to add? What do I need to do? What did I miss? Like I missed edges of petals, etc. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of Cosmic Berry here and grab a little bit of the lavender or the Midnight Violet and just go ahead and push that in. So just that we have that little piece. All right, and I forgot this guy entirely. So I'm just going to come in. He should be dark because he's a little bud. All right, so it is like magic. It's so funny. Thank you so much, Tracy. I know, Sherry, like that's another one. Like you don't think about the peach, but you can see where I did not really add a lot of peach and it's really subtle, but you can see it just adds a little hint of something else. So your brain's like, what is that there? Because I'm not exactly sure. And I think it makes it, give it a little bit of depth and dimension. All right, so I'm going to grab my, this is going to be that little part of the iris. I call it the landing pad. And this is where those anthers kind of stick out. And I'm just going to start in with the yellow. And what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of mapping out exactly. And I wanted to have a large section for this because of the fact that there's so much purple on my card with the paper that I've added and with the purple coloring. So I wanted to have a larger section of yellow. So I started with the fresh lemon. You saw that. Then I added in the orange cream. And now I'm going to extend that orange cream out with my maple yellow. And then I'm going to finish it with the fresh lemon. And fresh lemon in this case is, I think, the lightest yellow or lightest-ish yellow. And I'm going to drag that yellow under these sections just to kind of get that to go in there. And here is my fresh lemon, just kind of putting that in. So you can see how you have that nice contrast with it. Oh, Shiamaru, this is great. And oh my gosh, they have such an amazing variety of irises. I tend to have purple in my yard, which is why I went with the purple today. But there's so many different colors. They really are amazing. All right, so for the greens, and I know you guys are looking at me like, Amy, you pulled a turquoise there. Did you notice it? Yes, I did. I did it on purpose, I promised. And I grabbed moss. And to be perfectly honest, I think I'm going to grab, there's a beautiful color in here that it comes from the Nature's Wonders set. And that is it yellow ochre? I really want this one. Mangrove root. So I'm going to grab mangrove root because that's a little bit of a darker green. It's this dark brown green, which is gorgeous. So now I'm going to do my foliage. And sometimes I do my foliage first. And in order to help me to identify exactly where things are. So here I see that there's two types of foliage. One is that I have stems. And the other one is I have the leaves. And so I wanted to show you what I ended up doing on my sample card. And I don't know if you can tell, but you can see that the stems are a little bit more turquoise and the leaves and these other edges are a little bit more yellowy green. And Sherry, aren't they gorgeous? I love irises. They're really one of my favorite flowers, harbingers of spring where I live, which is fabulous. And I'm so glad, Barb, that you are getting more comfortable with coloring. Feel free. It's all about practice. It really is. It's really all about just picking up that coloring medium, whatever it happens to be, and just trying it. And I always have this mantra that I go through, and I say to myself, it's a mess before it's a success. And that is something that you will hear me. If you came into my craft room when I was coloring, I say it out loud to myself, and I will say it. Everybody can attest to it. It's a mess before it's a success. But I definitely say that when I'm coloring, because I get to that point in my coloring and I'm like, oh, what the heck did I do? This is terrible. But you just kind of have to move through those sections and just continue, because it will come out okay. And if not, then you just say it's modern art, right? So that's so nice, Sherry, that you always think of your grandmother when you see. So I hope this is making you think of her. That's great. All right, so you notice that I just mapped out my dark parts with moss, and I'm going to come in with, I want this to be a little less bright, so I'm going to come in with grass field, and I'm just going to take that and just move those up slightly. Now I'm going to come in finally with limeade, which has a little bit of a yellow tint to it, and I also even use just a little bit of yellow because that's where I want to go with this. But you can see how the moss and the grass field, right now they look like very, very separate colors. But when I add in the third color, it's going to start to blend them out very nicely. Okay, I think I want to do this part here. And I can add in a little bit of mangrove root just to give me a little bit more depth of color. And don't be afraid of those dark colors in your set. Use them to your advantage because they are the things that create the drama. And I was always afraid because I'm like, it's green. But when you look at things in nature, they're not always one color. They're a whole spectrum of colors. And that's kind of the neat thing about this. All right, limeade, here you are. So now I'm going to come in with the limeade, and I'm going to go ahead and smooth those through. And I actually want a little bit more yellow on this, so I'm going to grab, is this maple yellow? Here's maple yellow. Just going to grab a little bit of maple yellow because I want to add just a hint more of yellow on this, because when I think about the leaves, they're always kind of dying to some extent. So I'm just going to add a little bit of this. You can add some fresh lemon in there too. Yes, right. Thanks, Anne. Mess before it's a success. I say that about a lot of things, I'm realizing. All right, so I just want to point out, so just like on this leaf right here, there's a little bit of that. So I'm just going to stretch this limeade, and you can't even tell, but there's just a little bit of difference with that. So there's just that little shine of yellow. All right, so I'm going to come in here, and I know I'm going to go a little bit faster and kind of speed this up to show you guys how I am making the rest of this card. All right, so I'm just taking my limeade, kind of like the white that I used in the flowers, and I'm just smoothing everything out. So all that yellow, everything is nicely smoothed out. All right, so that's part of my foliage. It's a good quote, man. All right, so now I'm going to grab that mountain lake, and I'm also going to grab moss, and I'm also going to grab Shadow Creek. So these are the three I'm going to use here. In fact, I think I'm actually going to grab the limeade too. I'm going to grab my moss, and I just want to go really, really carefully, very, very slightly, just up and below each of these little nodes and places where it's just a little bit on the darkish side. Okay, just realized that wasn't colored in. And now I'm going to come in with Mountain Lake, and this is just going to give me a little bit of a brightness to that green. So instead of it being so green, it's now going to be a little bit more of a turquoise green. And now I'm going to come in with that Shadow Creek. Not going too hard on this, but I do want it to be a different section of green than my leaves, just to make sure that it stands out from the rest of everything. Okay, so as with anything, especially with coloring, you can keep going over this and over this and over this, and you can really honestly, at some point in time, you just have to say it's good enough. that is what we're going to do. All right, I'm carefully, not so carefully, shoving those back in my box because I got to move on here with what I want to do. So, like I said, this looks great. You could take this and you can put your sentiment on this. You can slap this on. I think this is gorgeous. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to put a strip of purple in here. So I grabbed a section of my gradient cardstock, and this one is called New Purple, and I'm going to show you that card again that I had. Here we go. So this is the New Purple. Oh, thank you so much, Tracy. Thank you guys so much. And again, coloring, I know you just watched me for like 30 minutes color as follower, but it's totally worth it. Love coloring. I'm going to grab one piece of this, and I'm also going to grab one piece, if I have it still. Yep, I do, of the ultraviolet. So I'm just going to get those out because I'm going to use both of these to make the next card. Now, I want to have about 2/3 of this ready. And so what I kind of did was I figured, well, where does this end? So this doesn't really kind of flow out. And so I know this is going to freak a lot of you out, but I cut this to about 3 1/4. So that's about 1 inch off of it. All right, you guys ready? Here we go. Sorry, everybody. Sorry. I cut it. I just cut it. All right, so I have to put my sentiment on this. So I'm not going to, I did that with the rose gold, and I will do that later, but just trust me that will happen. Now I have a piece of cardstock, and this is where this grid paper it just absolutely works. So I made sure to trim this so that it was square to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my little piece of, I'm going to add my piece to it, the piece that I colored, and then I'm going to put a piece of the purple on. And then you notice that I'm going to put this back into my stamp, and I'm going to stamp on this side. So that way it looks like the image is continuing to flow over. All right, so let me get some glue out here. Yes, you're right. Tracy and 42 Rosie, I did it. I did cut it. And you know what? Now I have a little section. I can do whatever I want to with it if I want to, which probably won't be anything, but I will, of course, hold on to it until I make that decision that I'm not going to do anything with it. By the way, you have about 10 minutes. And if you're just joining us, thank you so much for tuning in to Amy's Inspiration Station on the Altenew Facebook and YouTube channels. And we are playing around with the Paint a Flower Iris and playing around with our watercolor, with our woodless coloring pencils. And I want to know how many of you out there has this inspired you to go ahead and start coloring. I think I already pulled these out earlier. Well, that was smart. Okay, so here I'm not the best like measurer and math person, even though considering what I do for a job. So we're going to do this the old-fashioned way here, and I'm just going to glue, and then I'm cutting. That's how I'm handling it, everybody. I'm just gluing it and cutting. So here's my little piece. I'm just going to stick this on so it abuts it, glue it down, making sure that it's on all sides here. It looks okay. And then I'm just going to cut it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and back out so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm always in frame. Oh, good, Debbie. I'm so glad. Yeah, and it might be Barb. They're very slick, but I have to say they are super pigmented. They are fabulously pigmented, so I feel like I don't have to it doesn't hurt my hand as much when I use them. I will say that, and I do appreciate the fact that I don't have to hurt my hand as much. All right, I'm going to cut this so it should be 4 1/4. There we go. And I'm just going to use my scissors to cut the end of this. And hi, Lisa. I'm so excited you're here. And yes, right, Sue? No measuring. If I don't have to measure with it, that is fabulous. All right, so now I'm going to bring my stamp wheel back. And for those of you who were not here, but maybe you remember, the fact is that I never moved my stamp. So I know I'm at 4 1/4. And if you're not sure, in fact, I might not be sure. So I'm just going to line this up again real quick. And I'm going to use the ink from the Enchanted Garden collection. That's the ink that is closely related, or closest, in my opinion, related to the new purple papers. So I'm actually going to use Wisteria because that is the lightest ink color that we have here. All right, so I'm going to pick this up. And I don't need to ink up the whole entire thing. And so all I need to do is just ink off up the bottom. Okay. And thank you, Han, for putting that in. Fabulous Han is behind the badge today, helping us out. And just how nice it just stamps so nicely. It just stamps fabulously. All right, so to finish this up, like I said, I need to put a sentiment on. And the embossing powder I would use would be the rose gold, because I think that just looks fabulous with this. It's just not too shiny, but it has such a pretty tint to it. And I'm also going to grab my trim. So this is the Altenew washi golden trim, I think. And I'm just going to take this. I just like to cover up the seam. I mean, you can leave it there, but I just like to add a little bit of bling to the seam. And you can feel free to put this on either side or put it right on top of the seam. And it just gives it a little bit of, extra bling. There we go. I'm just putting that right on top of it. And this is just my card front, so I'm just going to put this right over. So minus the sentiment, that is my first card, and I think I just have enough time to do my next one. But I like the fact that it hangs over. If you wanted to, and this was my original idea, I was going to stamp using the single flower inside of the painted flower iris, but I kind of like that a little bit better. So that is my first card. So really quick coloring, but it just looks really fabulous on that one. And again, my sentiment, I would use the rose gold. All right, so my second card, since I had this kind of leftover bits that I had already cut off, I was like, you know what would be kind of cool is let me grab a second piece. And I'm just using the leftover bit that I cut off. So this is approximately 2 inches. All right, so I'm just taking this. I'm going to grab some satin masking tape, which I had somewhere. Here we go. I'm going to grab my satin masking tape, and I just like to grab a little piece. And that's because I tend to knock things around because I get very excited as I make cards. And so I'm just putting this in to make sure that my piece of paper stays where it needs to go. So, oh, thank you guys so much. Oh, thanks, Chaos and Happiness. I appreciate that. And you can color the cards and post on social media. Yes. And we love to see that. We love to see, Altenew loves to see your coloring. We love to see how it is that you're using the products. And again, the Paint to Flower is such a wonderful line. And so that I'm trying to celebrate that line, but there's also coloring books. And I know I've done those on here. There's the watercolor coloring book. There's the marker coloring book. And even if you just have, just use your stuff, draw, do what you want to do. And everything comes out great. All right. So you can see that I line this up with the grid, and all I'm doing on my little 2 inches here is I'm just kind of putting the sheet right in the middle and using my grid mat to make sure that it lines up exactly where I need it to go. Now I'm going to grab, this is actually, I think, yeah, this is the ultraviolet. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to attach this to one side, cut it, and then put it over on the other side. Barb, I think it's the Fabulous Duo. It's the one that comes with the stencil. So they put a coloring stencil on it, which is so wonderful and so easy. And that is what they're doing. And that is a subscription, so that you can get. And those should be coming out. Oh, they just came out. I think the subscriptions they just had a hop for the subscriptions. I know, because my friend, yes, Dynamic Duo. You are on it, Barb. Thank you. Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you like the purples. I feel like purple doesn't get enough love, right, Elisa? It just doesn't get enough love. We always think about flowers as, pink or something like that, or but not purple. We don't always do purple. All right, I'm looking for my gigantic scissors here. Here we go. All right. Actually, I'm not going to do that because I will screw that up. All right, so I'm going to come in and I'm doing my best here. I know that this is 4 1/4, so I'm just going to come in and that's going to allow me to cut right at that purple. And just because I can, I'm going to go ahead and cut these off. Because that is at 5 1/2. There we go. Just get these little edges off. All right, so now that I have that, now I'm going to come in with my edge and I'm going to glue this side. And so this is, I'm kind of constructing this, and you're going to see what I'm going to do with this little part. This paper, it's finish, but because it's 65-pound paper, which is also why I'm also kind of reinforcing it with the my 100-pound cardstock. But it does stamp beautifully. Stamps really, really nice. Okay. All right. I got to clean up my edges, but otherwise I'm doing pretty good. Yes, Team Purple. Yes. All right. Okay, so I know we're coming to a close, but I just want to show you this other card and how I put it together. So let me get you my sample so we can see this up in the corner. And so with this one, I'm going to do the same thing. And I actually did not stamp this using gray. I actually stamped this using Andromeda, and I actually thought it was a little too dark. So I'm actually going to use ultraviolet. So I have my gigantic, or the double iris here, and I wanted to span the whole entire business, but I wanted just a different look from that side kind of piece. So I'm going to do this with it. So it gives me some nice open space up at the top. That really does stick on there. All right. And then what I'm going to do, and what's nice about stamping a color, like an image that you want to color on colored cardstock, is you don't have to do all of the layers. You already have a base layer down, and so you really can just work on the depths. That's all you really need to do, is just work on the depths. Providing that drama, putting in all of the drama. I just want to show you guys how wonderful this stamps. This paper is fabulous for stamping. Oh, look at that. Gorgeous. I really like it. I have to say the Andromeda is almost black, but the ultraviolet is really purpley. And I'm going to, don't know which way I want to go. I might go Andromeda. I'm not sure. But I really like this. Okay, so let me pull this up. And we are right at 4:30, which is perfect timing. Oh, gorgeous. Gorgeous. So simple. So what I would do now, obviously let this dry a little bit, and then I would just color it in. And it would be something that I just would need to color in that middle part. Don't worry about the sides because they're too dark. You can definitely do it, but if you color on dark cardstock, you just got to make sure that you lay down white first, and then whatever color you put on top of it will look the color that you want it to. But I like the fact that you had this, this middle part, that it's almost like a spotlight coloring, and I just thought that was really cool. And I use this as another kind of graduation or supportive card, which was keep going, you've got this. And again, this is the same sentiment from the Paint a Flower Iris. This is a really nice set. If you haven't gotten this, is from 2020, but it's an absolutely fabulous set. And like I said before, I really like the fact that you have the double, which is I used today, and then also that single flower. So just to review what we did, We used the Woodless Coloring Pencils, and we colored in this beautiful Paint a Flower iris. And again, my sentiment is in rose gold. Use a little bit of that gold trim washi tape, and backed it with some of that gradient new purple cardstock, which is really fabulous. Saskia, aren't they great sentiments? Absolutely fabulous. Again, great for graduation cards if you have them coming up. This Follow Your Dreams, No One Can Limit Your Greatness, I just thought were just really great for graduation cards as well. So I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Han, who is behind the badge today, and also to all of you. So thank you so much for spending some time with me today on the Altenew Facebook and YouTube channel. And thank you so much for just being there, being fabulous customers. And we'd love to see what you guys do with this. So we'd love to see your coloring, all of the things. And please make sure that if you share your stuff on social media, go ahead and hashtag Altenew so that way we can see that too. So thank you guys so much for taking some time, and thank you for letting Altenew craft your life. And I just want to say thank you for a lovely afternoon and encouraging my coloring. I hope that you picked up some tips, and I will see you guys later. All right, bye.